Welcome session. So if you're a Bachelor of Engineering Honours student or a Bachelor of Forestry Science student, you're in the right place. We're going to get started. It's an hour-long presentation we have today. We're starting off with a bit of a safety video and a bit of an earthquake evacuation procedure thing just in case. Then we're going to have a quick welcome session on behalf of the college. We're going to have an Engineering and Physical Sciences library presentation, and we have IPENZ with us today. They are the Institution of Professional Engineers New Zealand, and they've flown down from Wellington today to talk to you guys. So should be out of here within an hour, and we'll just get started.
Peter, could you tell us a little bit about what you and your team do to check buildings on campus after aftershocks and earthquakes?
Yes, we have a very structured process of checking our buildings after any earthquake, either a major earthquake or a significant aftershock. And it's a process around using a team of my own staff who know our buildings very well. We have a team of structural engineers now based on campus. Since the last February's earthquake, we have about 7 or 8 engineers, structural engineers working here all the time. And we have a range of consultants who look at various parts of the building. The process is at the start visual, having a look around and seeing any immediate damage, making sure the buildings are safe for the next step, which is a far more investigative step, looking at our buildings and at the structure and where we might expect to find damage, how have those buildings performed. So we build up a high level of confidence in our structures as we go through. If buildings we find we're not happy with, then we don't go back into those buildings. And we have a number of buildings on campus that we're no longer in, but we're continuing a process of checking and investigation, and we will look at remediating those buildings over time. But if we aren't confident in them, we do not go back into those buildings.
And the vast majority of built spaces on campus are used at the moment, is that correct?
Absolutely. There's a number of buildings that, as I've just described, we aren't in, but most of our structures, and we have over 420 structures on campus, are cleared for use.
I understand that you have some control buildings on campus that helps you quickly identify where problems might occur?
Yes, we call them our indicator buildings, and they're ones that, generally they're ones that we're not back in. And the structures are all nice and open because we've removed ceilings and we've removed floor coverings and bits of the walls, and we can check very quickly as to what the nature of that quake was and is it likely to have to translate it into damage in other buildings. So they are our indicator package.
And you must have built up quite a body of knowledge over this time.
We're getting quite good at it. We're certainly getting good at checking, but the advantage we have is that the university has plan records and structural drawing records of every single structure on campus. We have a wonderful library that tells us immediately what we would expect to find, and then we go in and look at the key points.
Can you tell us what's happening on campus now to remediate buildings?
We've got a number of buildings and quite a few contractors on campus over the summer. In particular, we had over 300 staff from our contractors and subcontractors working and remediating buildings. At the same time, we're taking the opportunity to upgrade some of those buildings. And if I can just run through some of those, the James Height building, which is our central library building and the tallest building on campus. It will take us about a year to work through remediating it, bringing it back to the condition it was in. But at the same time, and what's taking us time, is we're replacing all the glazing with double glazing. We're improving the heating system. We're putting more PowerPoints into that building because students do come along with their laptops these days, and we're improving the general services within that building. So that's what's taking us time. We can do that while we still occupy because we do a floor at a time.
We've been fielding some common questions from parents of prospective students and from staff members and current students. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're responding to some of those common questions?
I guess the most common question I've had recently from a number of people, do you have any collapse hazard buildings on campus? And I can say that we don't. From the investigations that we've done, we don't have buildings that we're concerned about that will actually collapse. The buildings that we have some doubts about how they might perform totally, as I've mentioned, we're not in. We did have 2 collapse hazards on campus, and we've removed them over this summer.
Now, there's a lot of new building work happening on campus. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
That's been the exciting part of sort of post-earthquake, not only repairing buildings that need to be repaired, but also some new work we got approval to do. A lot of that is in around the area of the library, the building I mentioned, and we're creating a number of student social spaces in that building, and a lot of food services around the centre of it. So that's quite an exciting development that will open up progressively through the first term this year. We have a student event centre that we're putting together by the old UCSA building on their site, and that too will open at the end of term 1. So there's some good new developments there. And in general terms, whenever we upgrade a building, we're able to just make it come back a bit better than it was before. So there's some good sites on campus now.
Now, even though you're in charge of facilities and the estate in general, I know that people are very much at the heart of everything when you're thinking about what you're doing on campus. Do you have a message for parents who are considering sending their young people here?
Definitely. We're really looking forward to students coming back, because the campus changes its nature as soon as the students are here, and it becomes a very alive place. We've spent a lot of effort in making sure it's not only safe, but that we have confidence in how our buildings will perform if there should be another earthquake. And we're just waiting to welcome people back.
Okay, so just on top of that, I just have a few slides to go through for you about emergency preparation. All we want you to know is know the evacuation procedures for all the venues you will attend, read and understand the emergency procedures, and a very important note is to program security's emergency number into your mobile phone. That's the number there. Please make sure you have that into your mobile phones just for safety reasons. You'll see these posters around campus. They're on every wall of all the lecture theaters and around some of the buildings, so just make sure you know where our evacuation areas are. Aftershock procedures, what should you do? Plan your best safe zones. If inside a lecture teaching space, drop, cover, hold tight in your immediate space. Do not try to move around the lecture theater while the building or facility is shaking. And what should you do? If it is necessary to leave the building or facility when the shaking has stopped, evacuate to the nearest holding area or Island Fields. Island Fields is a huge green space on the other side of Island Road. That's sort of our main emergency assembly area. Do not isolate yourself, stay with others, be aware of potential hazards, glass trees, etc. Do not re-enter any building or facility unless it has, the all clear has been given. And if you are outside, stay outside. Take shelter, clear of buildings, trees, power lines, other potential hazards. And if emergency assistance is required, phone 6111 from a campus phone. That will go to our security team, or the number you will all have in your mobile phone, 0800 823 637. Okay, now on to our presentation. Let me introduce to you our Associate Dean of Engineering and Forestry, Dr. Andrew Bainbridge-Smith. He's going to do your college welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. I've brought along today the staff from the college office, and here's the team. So these are the people who are going to be helping us out through the year. You will know that the university is quite a bureaucratic organisation, and it's our job to help you through that, to make life easier. So we have over here the team, and they will certainly be here to help us. So thanks very much. Yeah, we'll let them go because they've got lots of processing to do. So thanks very much, guys. And you'd never think I was a computer engineer. And it still won't work for me. Okay, there's the staff. Right, well, first thing we're going to talk about is what we really expect of you being here at the university, because quite a lot of you have come from school, and there are a few things that are different. First up is that lectures are, in general, 50 minutes with, as we say there, an hour long, but you have 10 minutes to move from one venue to another. You will find that for a lot of your courses that there are perhaps 2 or 3 lectures in a week, and they will be spread out through the week. Quite a number of courses will have labs or tutorials and maybe a bit of both, and that's particularly true of the engineering courses. We do expect you to attend all of these activities. It's really, really important to come to lectures, and I'll be making comment about this a number of times through this presentation. Success is based on being here. It's really important. Reading the book on your own is a pretty risky strategy. You'll find that a lot of material is provided online through a system called Learn. This is just our web-based system used here at the university. These will often have lecture notes, etc. Lab material will be presented here, along with a lot of messages and notes to you. So really it is an important place for a lot of that information. Course readers are other material that are provided, you have to purchase, but a lot of material may be presented in this form. For first year courses, most of the information comes from very well set standard texts. So these are textbooks. Later through your degree program, you might find some of the courses, there are not very good one single textbook for the material, and your lecturing staff will sort of help you through that and guide you, probably with a lot of their own personal notes. The important thing to remember is that what we do as lecturers is trying to tell you what is the important material. So there will be a good textbook to read, but they're going to say which parts of those textbooks are really, really important. They'll be emphasising particular material in there. All lectures begin on the hour throughout the entire day. So if you have a 10 o'clock lecture, it means it's starting at 10 a.m. The classes are big in intermediate, so you'll typically be in very large lectures with a few hundred students, like we have here today. So this is quite usual, but as you move into things like laboratory experiments, they will be much smaller groups. Use this opportunity to introduce yourself to others and to make friends. It's really important. Things that you will definitely need with you, have a phone. I guess you've all got a phone, but the important thing is that they're turned off in lectures. And the other thing that you really, really need, and incredibly important, is a pen. How many of you got a pen with you now? Okay, so this is something that I particularly find in later years, is that students turn up to class without a pen or paper. And it's really important that you have these with you to take notes. You might be provided with notes, but it's important that you write your own interpretation of what you're hearing onto paper. You annotate material that's given to you. And so there we are. Take notes. Really, really important. You have to organise it in the way that you think. Everybody has their own way of thinking, and so it's important that the material we present to you and give to you is from our perspective, that you take that and you put it in something that you understand and can assimilate. Turning up to class is really important, and I've already made that comment, and I just want to reiterate that coming along is important for success. That also means asking questions. So you might have a burning question but be a very shy person. The thing to bear in mind is that there are probably half a dozen other people just like you. You've got to take that opportunity to ask the questions on behalf of others. Keep up, don't catch up. This is quite an important point, because often what happens is that once you get behind, it's really hard to get back on track. Intermediate is quite a step change from school, and when you move on to your first professional year, this is another enormous step change. This is a year to make sure that you get into really good study practices. If you are struggling, it's really important to get help early. That is pretty much the key message. Now, who do you get help from? Well, first up, from the lecturing staff, but also there are other venues or avenues where you can seek help, and these include the Learning Skills Centre, and I really encourage people to have a look at them. They're a very helpful group of people. Now, here's a wee comment about dropping a course. You need to do this. If you're in a particular course and you think, this is not me, don't want to do this, drop the course. Make sure you do this formally, because if you don't, you will get a failing grade. So there is information on how to drop a course, but the other thing I need to point out is that you need to take a full workload. So it's not just a case of dropping a course, what are you going to do to substitute for that? This is where you come along to the college office and talk to student advisors, and possibly to myself or to the dean. We have a number of useful websites, including the college website. There's our email address if you want to send us comments. And we also have a Facebook site. So, how can your lecturers help you? Well, we have obviously assignments and tests, and we have results and these sorts of things. And if you have questions, go along and talk to them. We're not as scary as we might present ourselves. So we are actually try to be very approachable. That's why we're here. Most of us love teaching. There will be another aspect to our job, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But we really do enjoy our teaching jobs, and we are, although we, as I say, may not appear to be approachable, we certainly are. Now, this often tends to be a bit of a question as to the various titles that we all have. And so, for example, my title is Doctor. That's just in reference to a particular qualification that I have. But you'll find that other staff have other titles like Professor and so on. And this just refers to various people's standings within the university, and in some cases the sorts of jobs that they do. There are other staff that you will probably interact with. These include senior tutors, and these are full-time teaching staff within the university, and also a lot of teaching assistants who are usually postgraduate but sometimes upper-level undergraduate students. And you tend to see or interact with these students in laboratory exercises and some tutorials. Now, I did mention that there is another aspect to lecturers' jobs. Teaching is about only half of their job. The other half of their job is in active research, and that's what distinguishes universities, is that very active research role. The research that we do informs the teaching that we provide. So you might find that on occasion it is hard to find your lecturer. In that case, they should really be running office hours. If you do need to get in contact with them and you find it hard to find them, send them an email and make an appointment. So that's, as I say, sometimes we might appear to be hard to talk to, and it's certainly not deliberate, but here's this other part of our job. After each lecture, what you should be doing is rereading your notes. We have a general rule of thumb that says for every 1 hour of lectures that you receive, you should be spending about 2 hours in further reading. So it just gives you a bit of an idea of our work expectations. It is also really, really useful if you can read ahead in your course, so that when you turn up to the lecture, you've already got a good idea of what's going to be talked about. This then puts you in a perfect position to be asking those really difficult questions and putting the lecturing staff on the spot. We really enjoy that. And I think I've raced through things. I've been asked to keep it to 10 past, 10:30. So I've got to that point, and I'm happy to take some questions. Well, I'll make one final comment, and that is to enjoy this year. You all should appreciate that entry into engineering is a limited access. There's a gate at the end of intermediate. And entry into your first choice is based on merit. So performing well is really important. We do guarantee entry into your first choice if you get a B to B plus average. So there's a yardstick by which we want to encourage you to perform.
So there's still
Right, Lisa's asked me to go through this part. Engineering itself consists of 7 departments. 4 of those are the main engineering departments, which are listed there. It also includes the School of Forestry and computer science and maths departments, who primarily deliver through the BSc program. These are our various qualifications. A few stats just to know where you sort of stand. We have just over 2,500 students throughout our 4-year programs, and 880 of those are in first year. We will be having a presentation from IPENZ very shortly, but something that's really important to us is the fact that our degree qualifications here are recognised by IPENZ, and through that the Washington Accord. This means that your qualifications are transportable across those other countries that are signatories to this particular accord. It's around about 27 different countries. "700 of you." Well, I'm not sure that we've got quite 700 in the room at the moment, but that's the approximate number that we're expecting in. The program of study. Most of you will be following this standard program of study, which includes 5 standard courses with 3 optional courses, depending on which branch of engineering you think you might be going into. Hopefully you've kept things reasonably general so that you have scope to change your mind throughout the year. This is one of the nice features of the Canterbury program, is it does give you this first year to work out what branch of engineering you would like to pursue. There are, at the moment, 8 specialisations. There's a 9th on the list here. And I'd like to just draw attention to some people of this 9th program. It is work in progress at the moment, with a plan to have this approved by the end of the year. So it is work in progress, but it might be something you want to aim for. We'll certainly be looking to offer this program next year. As I've already mentioned, there is guaranteed entry with that B to B plus average, and that's into your first choice. Beyond that, entry is based on meeting certain numbers. Each of the programs has a limitation of entry. Based on numbers, it's all merit based, solely based on how you perform in your studies. There's also the possibility at the end of your studies to think, no, engineering isn't the thing I want to do. I'd like to go down a science pathway, and that's certainly still open to you. Here are the official numbers for the limits on entry. These numbers will be reviewed in the next few months. It is likely, for example, the civil number will go up. The electrical number might go down. Just to give you a bit of a feel on that, one of my other hats is I am the director of the computer engineering program, and we've taken in 25 into first professional year this year, so that number probably will go up. Electrical have taken quite a few less, so we're looking at that number probably coming down. Civil has been extremely popular this year, and along with mechanical engineering. So both of those programs are quite difficult to get into, so performance is really important. We've got our other pathways, just reiterating those there. The typical pathway for most of you will be thinking about into engineering. Perhaps at the end of the year you think, no, this isn't me. There is that science pathway. Some of you might be doing forestry or forestry science. Anyone here thinking about doing forestry engineering, for example? Good on you. So there are other pathways if you think at the end of the year, not quite me. For example, a Bachelor of Forestry Science. This is the Bachelor of Forestry Science. It's also another program that I represent as Associate Dean. So this program or degree qualification is a little bit different from engineering, but it has a lot of similarities in terms of the fact that it's a 4-year program. It's quite reasonably small. They're taking about 25 students per year into it. That gives us that 100 student mark. But like engineering, it's quite a constrained program, a lot of compulsory subjects in there. This is very typical of all the engineering programs as well. There's often not a lot of choice in what you study. They're very well-defined courses. Am I near the end, Lisa? I am. All right. We can be found over in, we being the college office, over in the School of Forestry. So in your first year, most of your contact, if it's not with the immediate lecturing staff, will be with staff over at the college office. Later on, when you move into the professional years, most of that contact will be with your particular program or department. And there we are. We are finished.
Any questions for our Associate Dean before he goes? These are a quiet bunch.
Oh, we have one question.
So the new software engineering one, if that gets just that specific one. So the new software engineering one, if it gets approved by the end of the year, would we be able to go into it after intermediate?
So it's a very good question. With the new software engineering program, yes, the answer is they will be looking to take students into the first professional year next year into that program. So if this is a serious consideration for you, you should probably be thinking, what is my plan B? You should always have a plan B. So it might be thinking down the path of maybe electrical or computer engineering would be something like a plan B, or a BSc in computer science. You'd be preparing yourself for that option for the software engineering.
Anybody else?
You said just before that a B plus average is what's guaranteed you a place in next year. But realistically speaking, would a B minus or even C plus do people in those grades get ever taken through?
So that's a very good question. The answer is yes, but what you're not guaranteed is your first choice. So, for example, certainly a B minus is likely to get you into a lot of the programs, including civil. But you'd certainly be right down towards the end of the pecking order. But yes, a B minus is likely to get you into any of the programs. Getting below that into sort of the C range, it now is becoming a little bit trickier.
Thank you. Okay, so a big thank you to Andrew for doing that presentation. So a few more things before we go on to the rest of our presentation. Another big thing is get involved. We have lots of student clubs. We've got to be some of the most active student groups on campus, our engineering and forestry science students. NSOC, you've probably heard of them, our Engineering Student Society. Women in Engineering, they're another group of girl committee, but they have boys included too. They have about 240 members. Engineers Without Borders, another really good group, and FORSOC, our Forestry Students Society. You don't have to be a forestry student to join. We have our student support advisor here. Her name is Heather. She just wants to give a quick plug to the Insider's Guide to UC.
Thanks, Lisa. My name's Heather Knox. I'm in the student support team. The student support team is responsible for all your non-academic issues. So as you met already, the college staff, they deal with any of your academic questions like courses and studies and so on. Some of you might this year have other issues with your landlord, with your flatmates, with money, with budgeting, with anything like that. You come and see me. So I'm Heather Knox. I'm located in the student support team. One of our programs this year is the Insider's Guide to UC. When you're finished here, please go into C3, either right away or sometime later on today, and check out the movie trailer there. It's the trailer for our series of seminars, which runs the whole year long and is aiming to give you those kind of non-academic skills that you need to succeed. Anything which is stopping you succeed is our business. Okay, you've already paid for us out of your student services levy, so please come and see us and make use of us. The website is live now, so you can go and look at that website, check out the seminars and register for any that interest you. Thanks and have a great year.
All right, so next up we have our EPS library. They're going to give you a quick presentation about what services they offer, where they are, and tours that they have on.
Hi everyone, just while Deborah gets our pretty pictures to show you, maybe you could take a minute just to turn to the person beside you if you don't know them, or and just introduce yourselves. Talk about, are you the first engineer in your family and what made you choose engineering? So just take a couple of minutes to do that.
What to say? So everyone sounds very excited about getting into engineering this year. And we at EPS Library, which is our quick way of saying the Engineering and Physical Sciences Library, ka puna pukahataka me te putaia. We are basically here to support you among all the other support groups available. So quickly to introduce ourselves, I'm Deborah Fitchett. I'm the Subject Liaison Librarian for Chemical Engineering and taking Civil Engineering shortly too. Christine McKee has been the Liaison Librarian for Civil Engineering until the end of this month. Peter Lund is our Academic Liaison Manager, so he's my boss. And John Arnold is going to be looking after maths, maths, physics and chemistry. So he may be relevant to many of you taking physics and maths as well. Peter's just going to say a few words.
Okay, I don't really want to say very much at all, other than these people are the experts when it comes to information in engineering and the physical sciences. You're going to get assignments fairly soon, I suspect. These guys, they won't do the assignments for you, but if you are having difficulty accessing resources, they are the people to come to get help. And they're going to say a bit more about that in the next few minutes.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. Where we are. Okay, so EPS is not the only library on campus. In fact, we have 5 libraries on campus, and your Canterbury card entitles you to use any of those libraries. Each library has a slightly specialist flavour, and you may find, because your subjects are interdisciplinary, that you might have occasion to use more than one library. You don't have to physically go to the libraries. The library catalogue will enable you to find material right across campus, and you can request to have that delivered to the pickup location of your choice, so you can do it all from your seat. You don't even have to walk anywhere. But just to point out that in fact we have an education library which covers teaching and learning, which is on the education campus. Right up the top we have the EPS library. We've been closed, but we are really hoping that we'll be open next week on the 20th. It may be a phased opening, which means it might be the ground floor only, but we are really, really looking forward to seeing you all in there. So for heaven's sakes, drop in next week and say hi. Even if it's the ground floor, we're available to help, and progressively the rest of the 3 floors will be open for you to use. We have right over in the far corner there the Macmillan Brown Library, which is a New Zealand and Pacific collection. It's renowned for the depth and quality of its collections. Some of the material you need to use in that library because it's reference only. We have the James Height Library, which is humanities and fine arts, and that's one of the tallest buildings here on campus, but is being fully remediated at the moment, so it's absolutely great to use, and you're welcome there at any stage. And we have law and commerce, which covers the law and commerce subject areas. So you can see you've got a wide variety of materials and places to choose from. Okay, so we've been building for the last couple of years. We've been looking at the trends in libraries and the kinds of ways that students like to learn and work together. So we've been trying to change the spaces so that we've got not only books on shelves, but we've got lots of spaces for you to work together, to work separately, to work on presentations. We've got discussion rooms. So that's why I say come and have a look. Get sort of an idea of what we've got to offer and the spaces that appeal to you to work in. We've got lots of places, and we're open from usually 8 till 9 in the evening in the week, and we're open in the weekends as well. Now, what do we have that we can offer in terms of the physical sense? Well, we have your textbooks. Some of your material that you're going to be required to read will be available online through your learning course pages, like the Learn pages. But we also have material that's not available online and that is print. And it may be that your lecturers recommend that you read that or require you to read it. So we've got this in the library in what we term the high demand collection. That means it's got a shorter loan period, say 1 hour or 3 hours, and that's just to make sure that the material can be circulated around what's a big group and make sure everyone has a shot at using it. We also have what we call journals, and journals may be a wee bit new to you. They're basically sort of like magazines. If you think about the Women's Weekly, all of those kinds of things. But they have the latest research that your lecturers here and internationally and postgraduate students, things that they're finding out about these subjects, and they publish them in journals. And journals are published a number of times a year, so they have various issues, but it's a kind of a different kind of material that you may come across new to you this year. But we also have material that is bit more kind of recreational, not only subject-based, but we have movies and general kind of scientific interest DVDs and CDs, and they are free to borrow. So you might find that, you've got a fairly recent movie, you can take it out of the library and you don't even have to pay, which is, it's all good. Another specialist material that we have in our collection are standards. Now, I don't know if you've come across standards before, but standards are particularly being talked about in Christchurch at the moment in terms of how buildings have been built, what was required of buildings in the past, what's required of them now, and they're agreed processes and measurements that everyone adheres to so that they can get a consistent product or a consistent way of doing things. And these will become an important part of the materials that you use. And we have some of these are online, the important New Zealand standards and Australian New Zealand standards you can find online. And that means that you can access them from your lab, from your flat, from in the library 24/7. And we're very pleased to be able to offer these online. So you will become familiar with these in your career. This, of course, is what happens when you don't use standards and you don't use procedures. So we're hoping that you'll all become part of a process that avoids these kinds of mishaps. Okay, Deborah's now going to talk a wee bit about the processes in the library and how to use the library. Thanks, Deborah.
Thank you. Okay, just to talk quickly about some of the really important library resources for your course this year. And many of these are going to be actually linked directly from your Learn course page, so you'll be able to get a quick link, or you can go through the library website. So firstly, the subject guide. This is just a quick screenshot of the Engineering Intermediate subject guide. And on Monday, I believe you will be getting your first assignment for Engineering Intermediate, and there will be a page on this subject guide to point you to some useful resources. So this is a really good place to go to when you're getting started in any assignment, but particularly for your first assignment of the university year. Finding books. So that may be your textbooks, or it may be some extra reading that you want to do. Multi-search is this big blue box here. If you type in there, it works more or less like Google, except with a lot more options. When you don't have time for a demonstration, but when you get the results, on the left-hand side, you'll see a bar showing options to refine your search, so you can decide half of these results are journal articles and you only want to read books. You can tick a box and it will narrow it down to books. You can tick a box that says full text online. It will narrow it down to things that you can access purely online and you don't need to come into the library. So there's huge amounts of options available in there. And the other thing I'll mention is Ask Live up here, which is just an instant messaging service. It is available pretty much all of the hours that the library is open. This will work. Click on the button and you will get a box where you can type in and talk to a librarian or other library staff member. Now, even though it's available almost all the hours that the library is open, some of the subject experts do have to go home at times and get a bit of rest. So if you're trying to get help the evening before your assignment is due, and if it's something that people can help you with, we'll be absolutely happy to help. Occasionally there's a question that requires a subject expert, and there may be a bit more delay. We may have to send that by email to the expert to answer the next day. So if it's a complex question, maybe plan ahead a little bit, but otherwise it's available there for real-time chat to get help with any kind of library questions that you've got. Okay, borrowing. I won't go too much into the call number, but basically it's a matter of using multi-search to find the book, find this code that is letters and numbers, that tells you where it is on the shelf, and a library staff member can help you if you have any trouble with it. Take your Canterbury card along, and then there is a self-issue machine that you can use, and if you've been going to city libraries, you'll be familiar with that. You can just use it yourself to borrow the book. And if you've got any questions at any time, you can contact us. We have a Facebook page, UC Library, and you can ask questions there. You can chat online with us using Ask Live, or you can make an appointment with me, Christine, John, and Dave, who is working part-time from Monday to Wednesday, and he has subject specialties with electrical, mechanical, forestry, computer science, and I'm probably forgetting something. He picks up all sorts of bits and pieces. Or you can just, of course, come into the EPS library from Monday onwards, come up to the desk and have a chat with us, and we'll be happy to help you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, do we have time for that?
Okay. Are there any questions? No? Okay, if you have questions later, just again, come into the library. Happy to help.
Okay, thanks to our EPS library staff. Our last presentation is from IPENZ. This is Kavita. She'll be talking to you a bit about what IPENZ is and what they can do for you as a student.
Right. Good morning. How many of you in here know about IPENZ or have heard about IPENZ? Oh, great. That's good to see. How many of you have actually applied for an IPENZ Foundation scholarship? Okay. Just to let you know, those results will be out about mid-March. Now, for those of you who don't know about IPENZ, I'll just go through a little bit for you. So basically, we're not-for-profit organisation, and we represent engineers of all disciplines. We're based in Wellington. We have about 60 staff, and we've been around for nearly 100 years. In 2014, it'll be our centenary. Okay. Our main role of IPENZ is to assist engineers, and we do this in a variety of ways. We provide international recognition of your qualifications. We also independently verify your competence via IPENZ membership classes and the current competence registers. We provide engineers access to knowledge. We also represent the profession. Now, we do this in a variety of ways, via submissions to government, through media releases, and also through awards. And as Andrew said before, we are the body that accredits engineering degrees and diplomas in New Zealand. Now, when you go to the College of Engineering office, you will see the IPENZ accreditation certificates on the walls. So have a bit of a look at those when you've got a bit of time. And we have various different types of membership classes, and I'm primarily here today to talk to you about student membership. So basically, all of you who have come into this lecture theatre are eligible to apply for student membership. It's free to join, and it covers for any of the disciplines that you're studying. So the main question in your mind is, so what? It's free. Why should I bother joining? What's in it for me? Okay, a couple of reasons. One, so you learn about the profession. Two, you learn to get to be part of the profession. But the main reason that I encourage all students to join is so that you get to network with other engineers. As a IPENZ student member, you'll automatically become part of your local branch. You're very lucky here studying at the University of Canterbury. The Canterbury branch have an excellent program of activities throughout the year which students can hook into. All sorts of things as Canterbury branch do. Things like site visits, so you can go and see an actual engineering project. They have presentations. They also have social activities. A lot of the events and activities that the Canterbury branch have, there's usually food afterwards as well. Pizza and drinks, other bits and pieces as well. But the other reason I'm actually really encouraging you to join and become a member and go to these branch meetings is that sooner or later you will need to get your practical work hours. And I always get students ring me up, how do I get my practical work hours? I need to get my hours. And I will encourage students to go to the meetings and meet other engineers. You'll meet other engineers, and who knows, you may get a future employer, you may get a mentor. You may also be able to talk to an engineering industry if you're not sure what sort of specialisation you want to get into. So I really recommend you do that. But if you are thinking of going along and finding someone that may help you with your practical work hours, don't leave that till November before you finish your studies. Start talking to the people now and build a rapport up. Also, as a student member, you'll get access to the members area of the website. Lots of really interesting information in there, including what grads are getting paid at the moment. That's always of interest. You'll get electronic newsletters from me 5 times a year. And also as a student member, you will get to enter various awards and prizes. Now the photo up on the slide is of last year's winners of the Raymeyer Medal for Excellence in Student Design, and they were Canterbury University students. Now also when you become a member of IPENZ, you automatically become part of a body called Student Engineers New Zealand. And I have got a rep on campus by the name of Eli, and he will be working with me throughout the year to organise activities on your behalf. And you're more than welcome to come along to those. So, just going to let you have a few moments to have a read of these. This is just enough about what I'm saying. This is what past students are actually saying about IPENZ. Stuart is a past student of the University of Canterbury, and he's now working. And the next slide I have is of a guy called Sam, and Sam was a student at the University of Waikato. So, to join, really, really simple. Just need to jump onto our website and fill in the online application form. Take you a couple of minutes at most. Just note that when you join, you won't get a certificate and you can't choose any post-nominals after your name. Surprising how many students email asking where their certificate is. Sorry, you won't get a certificate. Okay, and basically you can remain a student member as long as you're studying. So even if you do post-grad work, you can still remain a student. And just like everything out of life, what you put in is what you get out. So if you be an active member, you'll have fun, you'll meet people, and you'll actually, get a lot out of it. But if you remain passive, well, it's really up to you. But anyway, I hope I see you along at some of our events. I'm around campus about 5 times a year, and I wish you all the best with your studies, and good luck. Have a fabulous year.
That's it. That's all from us. You guys are now free to go. If anyone has any academic issues, college office in the Forestry building. Otherwise, we'll see you around.